What if I told you that building a football stadium cost Liverpool its place among the world's greatest cultural landmarks? Everton just did what no English club has ever attempted. They defused 12 live World War II bombs buried in mud for 80 years, pumped 500,000 cubic meters of sand into a flooded Victorian dock, and built a 52,000-seat stadium engineered to be dismantled, returned to a working harbor if the club ever leaves. The price? £800 million. Liverpool's UNESCO World Heritage status stripped away forever, and the life of a 26-year-old Evertonian who never got to see his team play in the stadium he helped build. This is a club docked points twice for financial chaos. Their Russian sponsors vanished overnight when Putin invaded Ukraine. For 30 years, every single stadium plan collapsed, until they finally broke ground on the most controversial project in English football history. So how did the most cursed club in England pull off the impossible? Let's find out. Everton's relationship with Goodison Park stretches all the way back to 1892, making it one of the oldest purpose-built football stadiums in the world. At its peak, the ground held a record 78,299 fans for a Merseyside derby in 1948 and became the first English stadium to host a World Cup semi-final when Brazil's legendary Pelé graced the pitch in 1966. For decades, Goodison was a fortress, but by the turn of the millennium, the grand old lady had become more of a crumbling relic than a proud landmark. The problems were brutal. After the 1990 Taylor Report forced all Cedar stadiums, capacity collapsed to just 39,414. But that was only the beginning. The club was hemorrhaging £500,000 annually just to keep the rusting steelwork safe, with warnings it might fail safety inspections within a decade. Meanwhile, Arsenal's modern Emirates was generating £100 million in matchday revenue, 5 times what Goodison could manage. The gap was widening and Everton were being left behind. The club desperately needed an escape. In 2001, they unveiled the King's Dock project, a stunning 55,000-seat waterfront stadium designed by HOK for £155 million. Everton needed to raise £30 million as their share, but couldn't secure the funding before construction costs escalated, and the entire plan collapsed in early 2003. The site eventually became the Echo Arena, a painful reminder of what could have been. Then came 2006, a Tesco-funded 55,000-seater in Kirkby, outside Liverpool's boundaries. Fans voted 59% in favor, but opponents argued the club would lose its soul by leaving the city. After a public inquiry, the UK government rejected the proposal in 2009. Multiple failed attempts spanning decades left Everton trapped at crumbling Goodison. By 2016, Everton were desperate for a savior, and they thought they'd found one. Farhad Moshiri, a British-Iranian billionaire who purchased a 49.9% stake before eventually increasing it to 94%. He had deep connections to Russian oligarch Alisher Usmanov, whose companies sponsored Everton's training ground and held a £30 million option on naming rights for any future stadium. But Moshiri's reign was chaotic. 8 managers in 6 years, including former Liverpool boss Rafael Benitez. He burned through £500 million on transfers, with disasters like Cenk Tosun, who scored just 6 goals, and Davy Klaassen, who managed only 16 games. The club recorded massive losses over 7 consecutive seasons, and received 2 separate points deductions for breaching financial rules. Then, in March 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. Usmanov was sanctioned by the European Union and UK, and Everton were forced to cut all Russian sponsorship ties overnight. Yet somehow, amid all the chaos, Moshiri accomplished what decades of previous owners couldn't. He got the stadium project moving. In January 2017, Chairman Bill Kenwright stood before the media and made the announcement Evertonians had waited 30 years to hear: Bramley Moor Dock would be their new home. The location was perfect, a 170-year-old abandoned dock sitting on Liverpool's iconic UNESCO waterfront, less than a mile from the city center. It had been closed since 1988, locked behind gates, and forgotten after the coal industry collapsed. Liverpool City Council immediately saw the opportunity. This wasn't just a stadium, it was a chance to regenerate the city's neglected northern docks. In November 2017, Everton signed a 200-year lease with landowners Peel Holdings, and in February 2021, the council gave unanimous approval. After 3 decades of failures, Everton finally had permission to build, but turning an abandoned dock into a world-class stadium would require a design unlike anything English football had ever seen. When architect Dan Mice first visited Bramley Moor Dock, he was standing on water. The 170-year-old basin was completely flooded and had been abandoned for decades. But this is what makes the stadium unlike anything else on Earth. It was designed to be reversible. If Everton ever leaves, the entire 52,000-seat structure can be dismantled and the dock returned to a functioning Victorian harbor. The foundations deliberately avoid the Grade 2 listed walls, preserving them beneath the stadium like a time capsule. Engineers didn't just build on history, they built around it, with a plan to give it back someday. No other stadium at this scale in world football has ever attempted this. The construction broke new ground too. 70% of the entire structure was manufactured off-site and shipped to Liverpool like oversized Lego pieces. Building on an exposed waterfront with brutal Irish sea winds made traditional methods nearly impossible. So they assembled massive sections on the ground during storms, then lifted them into place when conditions improved. A 750-ton crane nicknamed the Beast hoisted roof trusses weighing 200 tons each. The result? Delivered 1 day ahead of schedule. The exterior tells Liverpool's story in 2 languages. The lower section uses handmade brick, echoing the Stanley Dock Tobacco Warehouse, with Archibald Leitch's crisscross pattern from Goodison woven into it, connecting generations. But look up, 5 massive trusses stretching 170 meters each support a curved aluminum shell. At night, it glows royal blue, visible from ships entering the port. It's already part of Liverpool's skyline. Inside, the design is pure intimidation. 2 tiers wrap 52,769 seats in a seamless bowl, ranking among England's 10 largest stadiums. Every seat offers an unobstructed view. Fans sit just 5 meters from the touchline, the absolute minimum UEFA allows, at angles brushing the legal maximum of 35 degrees. The south stand is the real weapon, a single-tier wall holding 13,000 fans at a stomach-dropping 33.42-degree angle. But it's not the size that terrifies opponents, it's the acoustics. The curved roof was engineered to trap sound and reflect it onto the pitch instead of letting it escape. Opposing players now face the blue wall, a roaring fortress designed to swallow them whole. The experience extends beyond the seats. The west stand features an elevated terrace overlooking the River Mersey, where fans watch sunsets before kickoffs. Behind the south stand, floor-to-ceiling glass frames Liverpool's skyline. Inside the north stand, supporters walk past the actual Victorian dock wall from the 1840s, raw stonework integrated into the structure. Outside, the restored 1883 hydraulic tower still carries its original World War II air raid siren. The technology sets new standards. Everton became the first UK club to use Amazon's Just Walk Out system for food and drink. Giant LED screens rise 9 meters high, the largest in the Premier League. The pitch uses hybrid grass reinforced with synthetic fibers and advanced undersoil heating. UEFA selected it for Euro 2028 before it even opened. The foundations support expansion to 62,000, but designing a reversible stadium with acoustic engineering was the easy part. Building it on a flooded dock filled with unexploded World War II bombs, that required engineering that pushed every limit. On August 10, 2021, Everton officially broke ground on their new home. But before a single stand could rise, there was a battlefield to clear. During World War II, Liverpool's docks were prime Luftwaffe targets. 90% of Britain's war supplies passed through this waterfront. Hitler bombed it relentlessly. Not every bomb detonated. When divers searched Bramley Moor Dock, they discovered 12 live munitions still buried in the mud after 80 years. The British military neutralized them through controlled explosions. One wrong move could have killed everyone on site. With the bombs cleared, engineers pumped 480,000 cubic meters of sand from the Irish Sea directly into the dock basin. By early 2022, what had been underwater for decades became solid ground. Thousands of steel piles were driven into earth that hadn't existed months earlier. A steel skeleton followed, topped by roof trusses stretching 170 meters. It was Lying O'Rourke's first fully digital project. No 2D drawings, everything coordinated through 3D models. They won a Digital Innovation Award for pioneering the approach. But as the stadium rose, so did the controversy. In July 2021, UNESCO stripped Liverpool of its World Heritage status, naming Everton Stadium as a key reason. Liverpool became only the third place in history to lose the designation, joining a wildlife sanctuary destroyed by poaching and a German valley ruined by a motorway. Heritage groups called filling Bramley Moor Dock unacceptable and warned it would cause irreversible harm to the Victorian waterfront. The city that gave the world the Beatles lost its cultural certificate because of a football ground. Liverpool's mayor called it incomprehensible and chose jobs and regeneration over a plaque on a wall. Then everything started going wrong. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in March 2022 sent global steel supply chains into chaos. Prices surged, deliveries vanished, and Brexit had already turned importing glass and copper into a logistical nightmare. Materials ran out. Every delay threatened to stop the project entirely. Mid-construction, cladding contractor Alucraft Systems collapsed into administration with £27.8 million in unpaid debts while installing the stadium's exterior aluminum panels. Emergency replacements had to be found without derailing the schedule. The pressure was relentless. Then came tragedy. In August 2023, 26-year-old Michael Jones, a lifelong Evertonian from Kirkby, was killed in an on-site accident. Construction stopped immediately. The Everton squad paid tribute. In a powerful moment that transcended rivalry, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp and his players arrived unannounced to lay flowers at the site. At Anfield, applause rang out in the 26th minute, with Everton flags flying on the Kop. The city united in grief. Despite bombs, bankruptcy, material shortages, and heartbreak, the project pushed forward. After 178 weeks of relentless work, the stadium was handed over on December 19, 2024, delivered one day ahead of schedule. Against every obstacle thrown at it, they'd actually pulled it off. On February 17, 2025, the first 10,000 fans walked through the gates for a test event. The stadium that survived World War II bombs, cost Liverpool its UNESCO status, and took a young man's life, was finally alive with voices. But the construction challenges were nothing compared to the financial chaos happening behind the scenes. A nightmare involving failed takeovers, alleged fraud, and an ownership crisis that nearly destroyed the club before the stadium could even open. The final bill reached over £800 million, nearly 3 times the original £300 million budget announced in 2017. But the real story isn't just the price tag, it's how close the entire project came to financial collapse. Farhad Moshiri funded over half the project with £450 million in interest-free loans. The rest came from high-interest borrowing, including debt secured against future TV revenue and emergency funding during the failed 777 Partners takeover. By mid-2024, mounting interest had pushed total debt beyond £800 million, leaving the club trapped in short-term loans with no clear way out. Then the Friedkin Group arrived in December 2024 and changed everything. Working with investment bank JP Morgan in March 2025, they arranged a massive £350 million refinancing deal with institutional lenders at far lower interest rates. But the masterstroke? They converted Moshiri's entire £450 million shareholder loan into equity, essentially wiping more than half the debt off the books overnight. But let's be clear, this isn't a fairy tale ending. The stadium still carries £350 million in debt. The annual interest payments will cost around £15 to $20 million every single year. That's roughly 10% of Everton's entire annual revenue. If the club has one bad season, if they get relegated, those numbers become impossible to manage. The bet is that the stadium unlocks revenue. Goodison never could. Increased capacity, premium hospitality spaces, year-round events. Everton projects it will generate tens of millions more annually than the old ground. The wider impact looks impressive too, an estimated £1 billion boost to Liverpool's economy and 15,000 jobs created. But the club needs to perform on the pitch to make those projections reality. Debt doesn't care about potential. It demands payment whether you're in the Premier League or the Championship. So what do you think? Was £800 million and losing UNESCO status worth it? Or should they have stayed at Goodison? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe for more football stories.